Hello everybody, welcome back to the tavern. Today we are taking a look at another Reddit 3d6 build. This is something I'm really enjoying doing. It's a fun challenge to work the old noodle on a new character concept, helping out people in the community. Today we're helping out Shadow Dragon 1011, or 1011, I guess. Need help building an Archfey Warlock around a Winter Fey. My group and I will be starting a new campaign soon, Frostmaiden. I want to build a backup character just in case something happens to my main character. Well, the short and skinny of it is that I want to build a Warlock that has to make a deal with a Winter Fey. So I want to make it revolve around dealing cold damage and charming/frightening enemies. The problem is I'm not sure where to start. Any advice would be helpful. Variant human, stats are 10, 12, 14, 10, 13, 16. I'm guessing this might be point buy, so let's take a look real quick. Character builder, abilities, and we need 10, 12, 14, 10, 13, 16. 10, 12, 13, 10, 13, 15. 10, 13, 15. There should be 13. And then the con changes to 14 and charisma changes to 16. Yep, alright, on the point. Alright, so off the top of my head, immediately right out of the gate, I would recommend switching the constitution and dexterity scores. And I'm going to do this here, but it's something that I would recommend doing. The hit points can be fixed much more easily with the tough feat down the road. Icewind Dale should go to at least 10th level, so you'll probably get 2 ability score improvements out of it, one of which you could dump into charisma, and one of which you could fix with a tough feat if that is the direction you choose to go with it. Armor class and preventative measures to keep yourself from taking damage are much better than having an extra over the course of Icewind Dale, even if your DM pushes the game late into later levels, maybe up to right before you're hitting tier 4. So level 14 that would be. An extra 14 hit points isn't going to make that much of a difference compared to not being hit as often. So right off the bat, I would recommend roll with the dexterity at 14 and the constitution at 12. Additionally, the 2 in the dexterity versus the 1 is going to make a lot more differences for stealth checks, for acrobatics checks, for sleight of hand checks. There's so many checks that rely on that dexterity. It's one of the best ability scores that you can invest in if it's not your primary casting ability, and it's well worth the effort. So I would at least get the dexterity up to 14. So race, variant human. I have the Tasha's stuff turned on as well, now that the variant human needs it. So dexterity and charisma. I don't know why they don't put them in order. They put it in alphabetical order. Skill, we're going to come back to this one because it's a free shot, and the feat is a freebie as well. So you could fix that hit points just by taking tough as the variant human feat right off the bat, and then you basically have 2 extra hit points per level automatically, which is actually a great use of the variant human one if you don't have another feat picked out. So let's pick this into Warlock, and right away jump into Archfey. So, if we take a look at the Warlock class, the Archfey, it's going to expand some spells for us, which are great spells. We have Fairy Fire is a great spell early and late game. We don't have a lot of spell slots, but it's great when we need it. Phantasmal Force, I think, is personally I think is very powerful. Plant Growth's niche could be good. Greater Invisibility is a very, very powerful spell. So having that, and then at a 9th level we got Dominate Person and Seeming. Seeming is very good when it is good, and very bad when it doesn't matter, which sort of fits the bill for the Warlock. Dominate Person is extremely powerful, but it's a massive cost and risk for a Warlock because you only have 2 spell slots. So spending one of them on a save or do nothing spell kind of feels not the best. It also doesn't feel terribly Fey. Fey feels more charming, not dominating, at least in my opinion. So let's take a look. First, actually, before we get into the build, let's take a look. I've pulled this up. This is a guide to the Fey-Wild, Death by Mage. Just an inspiration thing. But I'll link this in the description as well. So we have Frozen Lands of Winter. This just talks about the Fey-Wild a lot. Different Fey lords and ladies of winter. So we have the North Wind, powerful spirit, embodies and manages cold. North Wind, herald the coming of winter. Stubborn, unrelenting force. Chione, Snow Maiden, a mighty wind nymph, often associated with beauty. This could be a fantastic choice for your patron that you've made a bargain with, because maybe this maiden, Snow Maiden, is jealous of the winter that has beset Icewind Dale. Or maybe she is the Snow Maiden of Icewind Dale. Snow Maiden, Frostmaiden, probably not. But maybe the Snow Maiden is jealous of the Frostmaiden, or envious, or wrathful. Very, very good hooks here, as someone who sent their devotee north to deal with the winter in Icewind Dale. Prince of Frost, awesome character for Fae of mischievous deeds and pranks. So if you want to play more of the sneaky, don't leave alone with the rogue in town type of character, Prince of Frost could be a fantastic choice. Santa Claus, Father Christmas, fantastic choice if you were playing a one-shot. I would talk to your DM before picking this. I mean, lore is that it's a Fey elf, but your DM might not want to have an individual that befits a real world fairy tale tied as closely into the game. So talk to them. And then Queen Mab, Queen of Air and Dark. I've always heard it called Queen of Air and Darkness, but I guess Queen Mab as well. Not a fan of the evil murderous entity, the 5th edition attributor. I agree. Evil is a matter of subjectivity, and what is inadvertent accident to the human is genocide to the ant. So if Queen Mabe thinks of humanoids as ants, she might step on a couple of them. Not a big deal. It's what it is. So it's a very interesting choice, but could be very fun one as well. And maybe she is spurned by whatever is happening in the Ten Towns region. I'm trying to also avoid any potential spoilers for Icewind Dale as well. So let's jump into character creation. I think we're going to go with the Chione. So this is going to give us kind Fey to Traveler. So it's going to give us some positive roleplay hooks, but if angered, summons powerful flurries and blizzards at the unworthy. So it's going to give us sort of a positive side and a negative side, so two very good roleplay aspects that you can also interpret in either direction for however you choose to play your character. So it gives us good roleplay in either direction. Nice standard build. I say standard. Nice standard set of options. And good way to explain a series of different things. So off the top of the bat, I think Deception is probably going to be a fantastic choice. And maybe, that's going to be a tough call. I'm going to go with Nature here. Using Chione, Queen Mab equals Shallow and Fickle. I'm going to go with Intimidation, and then for the race, I'm going to pick up Persuasion. And where's Skills. Persuasion. And that's going to not as much about how we look, but also how we carry ourselves. It's going to play up that beauty side of it. And we picked up Intimidation. Intimidation to play up that wrathful side. So we can really get in people's heads, so to speak. So the Fey patron is also going to give us Fey Presence. As an action, you cause each creature in 10-foot cube to make a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save DC, charmed or frightened. Fantastic for Chione. Your choice until end of turn. Feature can't use again. Alright, so it's a niche ability. It might be good early on. 10-foot cube's not a massive space, but we also only have one spell slot, especially at first level, so it's something else that we can do right away. I feel like this is probably going to drop off in usefulness as we get further down the road. Misty Escape, 6th level, Vanish and Puff of Mist. Or I would ask your DM if you can reflavor that to like Snow Powder or something. Easy reflavor to really fit the theme. You can when you take damage, you can use your reaction, so you do still take the damage to turn invisible and teleport 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You remain invisible. That's fantastic, and it comes back until the start of your next turn or until you attack or cast a spell. So that means if you get a reaction, you become visible when you use that reaction or at the start of your next turn. And it comes back on a short rest, which is fantastic, just like our first level one. So having it come back on first rest is really cool. The Fey Presence, I feel like, is probably going to be more useful out of combat to try to use as like a charm person style effect. I believe they're only charmed very briefly, though. So this is more of a get out of dodge type of thing. It doesn't say that they realize they've been charmed or frightened of you. So maybe you can get away with frightening the shopkeep into looking the other way. It's niche, but I'm sure there's some good uses for this ability in there. And then potentially 10th level, Beguiling Defenses. Teaches you how to turn mind-affecting magic of your enemies against them. Immune to being charmed. Really cool. When another creature attempts to charm you, you can use your reaction to attempt to turn the charm back on that creature. So it's against your DC, charmed by you for 1 minute until the creature takes any damage. There's no limit on this ability. That's actually really, really, really cool, I think. This is something to also talk to your DM about, especially if you are going to be reaching 10th level, is that you don't want the ability to be totally useless. Maybe it'll come up once or twice, but sort of make sure that it's on your DM's radar early on, as this is something that the character will have when they reach that level, and it feels nice to be able to actually get to use the ability a couple times at least, maybe. But it's something to keep in contact with your DM about specifically, because it'd feel really bad to get that 10th level capstone, so to speak, because you probably won't hit the 14th level one, the Dark Delirium, and then never actually get to use the 10th level one at all if there's no enemies that try to charm you. Alright, so Pact Magic, pretty standard. Expanded Spell List, fine. Fey Presence, optional feature manager, yes. Don't care about versatility. Spells, we'll come back to. Alright, so we're going to push this up to, let's push it to 8th level. So we get a nice solid build out of here. Race for now. Language, we're going to go with, off the top of my head, let's go with Giant. Giant seems like a good thing for the North. Probably some types of giants up there. It's up near the spine of the world. Giant's going to be a strong choice. If you want to play into the Fey side of things more, you could also pick Sylvan here. I'm thinking that maybe this human learned Giant prior to making the pact with the Fey, and as such doesn't speak their language. Feat. Let's actually throw Tough on here. I'm a fan of our ability scores as is, so throwing Tough in is really going to do a lot for our survivability in this class. So quick refresh this page. We go from 51 up to 67. That's a pretty hefty jump for an 8th level character. All right, Eldritch Invocations, and we get 4 of them. This is fantastic. And keep in mind, some of these features could have been changed out. We get a Pact Boon at 3rd level. We get another and 2 more ASIs, along with our Misty Escape. The Eldritch Invocations and the spells are really where the Warlock's customizability comes into play. So let's worry about the Pact Boon first, because some of those invocations might change based on the Pact Boon. So, class features. There we go. Pact Boon. There we go. 3rd level. So we have technically 4 options here, because we also have the Pact of the Talisman. I think, let's see, there we are. So we have Pact of the Blade, action to create a pact weapon. You're proficient with it while you wield it. Counts as magical for purposes of overcoming resistance and immunity. Pact weapon disappears. Use your charisma, dismisses that. Pact of the Chain, you learn Find Familiar spell. Cast it as a ritual. The ritual spell doesn't count against your number of spells known. You get an Imp, Pseudo-Dragon, Quasit, or Sprite. Probably a Sprite, I would imagine. That feels the most Fey. When you take the attack action, you can forego one of your attacks to allow your familiar to make one attack with its reaction. That said, often you're probably not taking the attack action, you're probably casting one of your cantrips or a leveled spell, so that might not matter that much. Pact of the Tome, 3 cantrips from any class's spell list, need to be from the same list. Book is on your person, you cast them at will, don't count against you. So fantastic. And this is usually paired with the Book of Ancient Secrets to be able to be a ritual caster. And then the last option that we have, I wish they had moved it up, is your patron gives you an amulet, a talisman that can aid the wearer when need is great. When the wearer fails an ability check, they can add d4 to the roll. So actually, you would know if you fail ahead of time, which is pretty cool. Potentially but you don't know how much you failed by. This benefit can be used a number of times equal to proficiency bonus, and this comes back on long rest, as opposed to the rest of the Warlock features, which are short rest. Hour Ceremony, bring it back. Turns to ash when you die. Eldritch Versatility. Okay, so we have another Pact Boon option, essentially. I think off the top of my head, if you want to play a weapon wielder, I think you go Pact of the Blade here. That said, we don't have good armor unless we take the Armor of Shadows invocation to be able to cast mage armor. So if we take Pact of Blade, we're sort of forced into picking that so that we have a type of armor. That would be a party style decision. So if you have very few people that can be frontline, might be a good choice to go with Pact of the Blade, give you a weapon, and then you can be a little bit different on the cantrip style. I'm actually going to go with, I think, Pact of the Tome here. Pact of the Tome feels the most appropriate to me because the Pact of the Tome, you have this Book of Shadows. The Queen of the Unseelie Fey is the Queen of Air and Darkness. So Pact of the Tome feels right to me. Pact of the Tome. And we get 3 cantrips out of here, which is fantastic. And I think right off the bat, they're not Chill Touch. Chill Touch is necrotic damage. I'm going to pick up Guidance right off the bat as one of our 3 cantrips. That's going to give us our ability to really help us out in those skill checks. Let's see, what other things do we have? Toll the Dead could be interesting. Necrotic damage again. Word of Radiance, maybe. We could pick up Shillelagh, and that would be a charisma spell for us. That would give us a combat option. Definitely feels Feywild, but it definitely feels more Summer Fey. So I don't think so. Let's take a look at our Warlock spells first. 0. So we have Frostbite. Do we have Ray of Frost as well? We do not normally have Ray of Frost. So we could pick up Ray of Frost with that. Oop, gosh. Okay. Friends feels very good. Feels very on theme. Light's going to be actually a very strong choice for us, actually, because we do not have dark vision. So Light's going to help us out a lot. Obviously, this is sort of dependent on whether or not we play on Roll20. If you play on Roll20, I recommend picking up Light, 100%. If you don't, and you just play in person, Light's not as big a thing because there's not really that shadow of war that you get on Roll20. So Light doesn't matter as much because you can sort of see the map even though your character can't see the map. But that's playing with the rules a little bit, because you should be role-playing as, well, I can't see what's going on because I don't have dark vision. So Light's a strong pickup because it gives you that out to say, no, I had cast Light on the palm of my hand. I can see what's going on in that direction. And then last spell, now we wanted to go with Cold, and we wanted to go with Charming / Frightening. And, oops. I believe Friends is on our normal spell list. It is. We're going to pick up Friends as one of our cantrips. We're going to pick up Eldritch Blast. Oops. Eldritch. There it is, right above Friends. I'm right on top of it today. Eldritch Blast. And then we're going to pick up... Last one's a tough call. Not True Strike. That shouldn't even be there. Could pick up Frostbite here. Constitution saving throw. Disadvantage. I'm actually going to pick up Chill Touch based on the naming of it. It feels appropriate, and it is a rarely resisted damage type. The reason I'm not picking Frostbite here is most enemies will most likely have some type of cold resistance. So you're not going to get the benefit of actually using like damaging things that are cold damaging 100% of the time. Whereas at least with Chill Touch, we have that option to be able to use a cold, so quote end quote, sounding spell without actually being cold damage. And it's niche, but it feels a little bit better than having all cold damaging cantrips and then realizing that we're fighting something that has immunity to cold damage. Finally, let's see. Here's an excellent option. You could talk to your DM, of course, about picking up Sacred Flame and just reflavoring it, not changing the damage, but just changing how it looks, the name of the spell, into Fey. Let's see. Frosted Fey. No. Chilled Fey. Something. I don't know. There's some flavor in there, and instead of looking like Radiant Flame, it looks like blue sparkling bright Fey energy that singes anything that it touches. So that way you get the Fey feel, but you're not playing with this flame style cantrip. So could be a good pick there. Let's see, off the top of my head, Shocking Grasp feels very, very strong. Let's go with the utility cantrip here. I'm actually going to pick up Prestidigitation. So we have 3 utility cantrips because we do get, we have Eldritch Blast and Chill Touch as our damaging cantrips. Now, if we did want to go with the Sacred Flame thing, I would drop one of the damaging cantrips. I don't think you need more than 2. And truthfully, I think you can get away with only one of them that's an attack roll and pick one that's a save. So we could forego Chill Touch, remove spell, add spells, 0 level, Prestidigitation is on the spell list. I believed it was. And then Pact Boon, and you could go with Sacred Flame here. Or you could go with a litany of other spells. There's so many fantastic spells across the board. Just talk to your DM about reflavoring some of them. Maybe even Vicious Mockery. Vicious Mockery could be a very interesting cantrip to use all the time. As you are speaking Fey words that rattle around in the target's brain, and it gives them a headache and makes their movements sluggish. That feels way better. And Vicious Mockery will be our go-to damage cantrip. When we really need to or they're out of range, we'll switch to Eldritch Blast. That's okay. Yeah, let's go with that. Alright, that's going to bring us to our invocations. So off the top of the head, we have... top of it. Book of Ancient Secrets. That's probably one of the ones that we'll pick up. Alright, Agonizing Blast, Armor of Shadows, Ascendant Step. We are not 9th level yet. Aspect of the Moon. Very, very cool. I like the Aspect of the Moon thing, but it is sort of niche. That said, you're maybe playing a survival style game, so not needing to sleep and being able to keep watch for the full 8 hours of a long rest could be pretty powerful. We could decide that we were planning on taking Beguiling Influence at 2nd level and swap out that Persuasion Deception. That would look like Deception, switch to Arcana. Yeah, Arcana. And then race, skill would switch to Stealth is very strong. Queen of Air and Shadow. Or Queen of Air and Darkness. Sleight of Hand's not terrible. Stealth feels right on the Queen. Performance doesn't feel bad for the beautiful Fey. Nature doesn't feel terrible. Maybe Survival. Let's go with Survival here. Survival's not a bad one to have, especially in like wilderness survival type of setting. If you're trekking cross country in a blizzard, let's throw Survival on there. Don't pick Animal Handling. That's a trap. And then class. Pick one of our invocations as Beguiling Influence. Boom, two more skill proficiencies. All right, second option. So we have Bewitching Whispers, Compulsion as a Warlock spell slot. Okay. Book of Ancient Secrets. This is gonna be rituals. I would pick this actually only if we didn't have a wizard or another powerful ritual caster in the party. So that'd be if we had no wizard or no Twilight Cleric, because they can cast Tiny Hut, or no most clerics in general. Arcana Cleric's the other one that coming to mind. Knowledge Cleric's a good choice because they have Identify, or something like a Bard that has a decent spell selection, or a Druid with decent spell selection. Just because it's nice to be able to have those rituals, but it's not actually that big of a necessity. And by not picking this, you don't have to worry about your gold costs of transcribing spells all the time, or ritual spells all the time, I should say. Any creature starts as poison damage equal to charisma modifier. Devil's Sight. Devil's Sight could be very cool, and that would solve our dark vision problem. I think we're going to go without that one, though. Advantage on Constitution saving throws to maintain concentration is very powerful. I think we're going to go with Eldritch Sight right off the bat. Eldritch Sight. This gives us detect magic at will. This is a very powerful invocation. Being always able to tell if something's magical is very, very strong. You don't always need to know what something magical is. As long as you know it is magical, you can always operate under the understanding that it's probably the worst possible thing. Far Scribe, a new page, Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can use its action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your proficiency bonus. You can cast a sending spell targeting a creature whose name is on the list without expending material components. Write the message on the page, target hears the message, replies, it appears on the page. That's really cool. Far Scribe could be very interesting for moving messages around in an area. This is strong consideration right there. We have great hit points, but False Life at will isn't a terrible choice. Gaze of Two Minds, Ghostly Gaze. Within the range of dark vision, if you don't already have it. 30 feet, special vision until concentration ends, as if you're concentrating on the spell during the time you perceive objects as ghostly transparent images. Lasts for, we can reuse on a short rest. Ghostly images. See through solid objects. Man, this is really going to mess with the DM. And as someone who's played a DM before, Ghostly Gaze, who mostly plays as a DM, I would hate if one of my players had this, but it's such a cool ability. All right, let's see what else we have. New page, write his name on the spellbook. Creature manager. Alright. With permission, uses action to write its name on the page, which can contain a number of names equal to your proficiency bonus. When a creature whose name is on the page is reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, the creature magically drops to 1 hit point instead. Once this magic is triggered, no creature can benefit from it until you finish a long rest. So this is like being able to have a death ward on proficiency bonus number of creatures, but as soon as one of them triggers it, it ends for all of them. So you could have a party style death ward on at level 8. You could have it on 3 creatures. That's really cool. And this definitely plays with like the book of new areas for the Book of Shadows as well. I like that a lot. I like both of those a lot with the extra things. As bonus action, Psychic Disturbance. When you do so, bonus action, you cause a Psychic Disturbance around the target cursed by your Hex spell or Warlock feature of yours, such as Curse or Sign of Ill Omen. When you do so, you deal psychic damage to the target, and each creature of your choice you can see within 5 feet of it equals Charisma modifier. You must be able to see the cursed target. It must be within 30 feet of you. We're probably trying to stay farther away. Misty Visions feels very cool. Silent Image is a very versatile and powerful spell. One with Shadows. Let's go with that. When you're in an area of dim light or darkness, you can use an action to become invisible until you move or take an action or a reaction. So this is super niche, but and I'm not spoiling anything. But all of Icewind Dale is in, as the book says, is dim light. During the day, it is dim light because of how far north it is. If you want to compare it, think of like winters in northern Canada and Alaska, where the sun only shines for maybe 3 hours, if that. Not quite Arctic, but very far north. So there's only a few hours of quote end quote daylight, but with the everything else that's going on, you're basically in dim light 24/7, dim light or darkness. So one with Shadows is going to be extremely powerful because you can basically use it anywhere, especially if you're outside. So this is going to solve any stealth issues that you have. You can just use your action and just vanish into the darkness, and that definitely feels very Fey. So right now, one with Shadows is the thing to beat. Relentless Hex, we're not really trying to teleport and follow things around. We can't use Shroud of Shadow, we're not high enough level. Sign of Ill Omen, Bestow Curse. Alright, you touch a creature. The creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be cursed for the duration. Yeah, but you have to touch. It's a touch spell. We don't want to be near them. Tome of Levistus, not as strong. Animate dead once per day, not the right feel. Witch Sight, we're not high enough level. Yeah, let's go with the one with Shadows invocation. One with Shadows. So we have at will detect magic, which is concentration. At will non-concentration invisibility, so we can cast detect magic, and if we look at it, one with Shadows doesn't say cast invisibility. It says become invisible. So we can pop our Eldritch Sight and then become invisible with one with Shadows if we so choose. We'll pop our Eldritch Sight. We cannot use Eldritch Sight and Ghostly Gaze altogether, but that's okay. We'll be fine. And I like this feel of Ghostly Gaze, Eldritch Sight. We're playing with this eyesight type of feel, and that's sort of like those windows to the soul type of roleplay thing, where we are playing as a patron to the Fae. So like we lock eyes with them and they're beguiled by our influence, our other invocation, or we hide ourselves from their vision. They stare right at us and we just vanish and their vision passes over us from that point onward. So we're definitely playing with that vision aspect, so to speak. All right, ability score improvement at 4. I think here, right off the bat, I'm very inclined to push our charisma up to 18. This is going to increase our charisma saving throws, and that's going to be massive for us. And then actually, let's push down to 4th level real quick. 4th level. The reason being, it's easier to pick spells leveling up one at a time and beyond. I need the chart, so we get spells known. Pick 2 and 2 for 1st and 2nd. Right off the bat, I know one spell guaranteed pick that we're going to go with. Oops. It's going to be Armor of Agathis. That is a powerful spell. It feels right. Cold damage. Just fantastic. Fantastic flavor. An other spell off the top of my head, I think I really like Charm Person as an out-of-combat option. So we have a protection thing, an out-of-combat thing, and then we do have the Fey ability, so maybe we don't go with that. Hex could be a strong choice. Hellish Rebuke could be very strong. It's fire damage. Maybe talk to the DM about not having it be fire damage. Level 1, 2, I think I would pick Fairy Fire, and I might change it out later. Mostly because Fairy Fire doesn't have a scaled up benefit at higher level spell slots. I wish for every 2 levels of above 1st. So at 3rd level, it would the cube expands by 5 feet. So a 3rd level Fairy Fire is 30 by 30, and a 5th level would be 40 by 40, or by 5 feet. Yeah, so 25 by 25, and a 5th level would be 30 by 30. I think that would be a fair and balanced higher level Fairy Fire, but it's not how it is. Cause Fear could be a fantastic choice. Wisdom saving throw. Frightened doesn't get saves when you hit it. But unfortunately, we only get 1 target. I think our better fear option is going to be the 3rd level fear spell, because I believe that's a cone, if I get it correctly. Protection from evil and good can be very strong, but it does scale off. So that's probably in contention with Fairy Fire off the bat. Witch Bolt, I personally believe Witch Bolt's a bit of a trap. You want to pick utility spells here, not your damage. Your damage is going to come from your cantrips, your Eldritch Blast, things like that. Hex, do we have to hit with an attack? Whenever you hit it with an attack. So notably, Hex and Vicious Mockery do not combine adequately, because an attack actually means you have to roll a d20, not them fail a saving throw. So because you're making an attack roll, not the target must make a saving throw. So when you don't make an attack roll, it's not actually an attack, so to speak. So Hex and Vicious Mockery, it's a non-combo, and Vicious Mockery is going to be our fun go-to one. And I think that's also why we're not picking Fairy Fires, because we're not making an attack. I'm actually going to pick the utility. What's Arms of Hadar? Let's double check this. All creatures within 10 feet of you. We're not going to go with that. We already have something for when enemies are close to us. So Distort Value could be very interesting. Let's see. Do you downplay the worth of something's magical assets? Distort Value. Object no more than 1 foot over side, doubling the object's perceived value by adding illusory flourishes or polish to it, reducing its perceived value with the help of illusory scratches, dents, or unsightly features. Anyone examining the object can ascertain its true value with a successful investigation check against your spell save DC. I like this. I like this feel here. This definitely, we have a combat option here that's protection, and then we have this roleplay thing. We already have a charm effect in Fey. We might want to pick up Charm Person later, but this distort value feels very interesting. It the maximum size of the object increases by 1 foot. That's actually pretty cool. So this is going to help you out in the roleplay side of things by casting Distort Object. It lasts for 8 hours. Distort Value. It lasts for 8 hours too, and it's only verbal components. So you could now keep in mind you still have to say these arcane words, so it's very clear to anyone that you're casting a spell. It's not something you can hide. So you're not doing this as you talk to the shopkeep. You're doing this to the object you're about to try to sell the shopkeep before you walk into the shop, where no one's paying attention. And then you walk into the shop and say, hey, I got this fantastic piece of pristine platinum here. And it actually is like a crappy hunk of platinum and mixed with silver. So that's where you would go with stored value, I think. And it's some fun roleplay opportunities here. And it's not good all the time, but when it's great, it's great. So, and I think that's going to depend on if you manage to find a few cool gemstones or something. Or maybe you can have your teammate distract the shopkeep, and then you cast a stored value on the sword that your paladin friend's about to buy. And then when the shopkeep comes back, you're like, look, the sword's really nice, but I really don't know if we can shell out this much money for it. Can you drop the price by 50%? Because I don't know if you saw, you have a nick here and a dent there, and you have a high deception check as the Warlock, so you're going to be all right at this. And I think it gives you prime opportunity to take advantage of this, and that definitely feels very Fey. All right, 2 for second level. So off top of my head, we don't need invisibility. We are going to be picking that up as technically our 5th level one. Mind Spike could be very interesting. We want all niche things here. Phantasmal Force, I really, really like, because this has so much cool utility into it. This spell is so versatile, and you can really, it has everything to do with how creative you can be. My personal favorite is I'm going to clamp an Iron Maiden mask around the target's head with screws that are slowly tightening in from all sides of it, sort of like a pinhead style, but in a metal mask with no eyes, mouth, or nose slot. So they're just in this metal thing that's somehow lit from the inside. And now I have a way to deal damage with the spell by screws tightening. And I mean, raw, I've just put in their mind, they see just that. They don't see anything else. So maybe you can argue to your DM, hey, they don't know that, they can't see anything past that. I got an illusion on their face. Until they figure that out, they're not doing anything else. So pretty cool. I love Phantasmal Force. It's such a utility, powerful spell. It's well worth it all the time. And also keep in mind, this can be something that maybe the guard sees that something's on fire on the top of an area. And now the guard has to run down from the tower and alert the other guards, hey, there's a fire. Come on, quick. Let's get the bucket brigade to keep the town from burning down. And now you've cleared guards out of an area. You can do a lot with Phantasmal Force. Because you need to have an illusion that takes root within the mind of an object, of the creature within 60 feet of you. But the thing that they see doesn't have to be within 60 feet of them. So you can have one guard feel like he's very important because he spotted the oncoming horde of ice giants about to attack the town, and he's running around the city trying to alert everybody. A panic starts, and now you start there's enough of a panic for you to kidnap that one guy you need to kidnap, maybe. So Phantasmal Force is a very, very powerful spell. Do not underestimate this. It's well worth the pick. Other top choice off the top of my head, Hold Person is very strong, especially at higher levels. Definitely feels very Fey. Misty Step feels very strong. Mirror Image is a powerful spell, but we already have a defensive one. Spider Climb's very useful, although I think we're going to go with Suggestion here. This is going to play up that charming aspect of the Fey. When Persuasion and Deception fail you just make them do what you want. Also, eventually you could pick up Mass Suggestion, which definitely feels very Fey. Alright, let's now push to 8th level. We need to throw the invocations on here. This was One with Shadows, Ghostly Gaze. And those are 5th level and 7th level, so we can pick them up right on time. We get Beguiling Influence and Eldritch Sight at 2nd, and we're never swapping. We don't need to swap them at all. Those are very powerful invocations that feel good. Alright, our ability score, double Charisma. That's our 18 at this point, which is fantastic. And now we need our spells, and we're at 8th level. We know 9 spells. We just left 4. So we gain 1 second or first, probably a second. And then we probably change out one of those seconds for 2/3. Sorry, we gain a third. We gain another third. We gain a fourth and another fourth. So we could pick 2/3 and 2/4, or maximum 2/4. So we'll start there. Spells. 4th level. All right. Right out of the gate, now keep in mind, we want to go for utility. We're picking greater invisibility. This is our combat option. This is when we pop our greater invisibility and start just machine gunning down. This is a very, very powerful spell. In theory, we could actually have max 4 of the 4 for 4th. I think if we pick that, we're going to drop Armor of Agathis. Because there's no difference in the spell slot, I'd rather just be invisible. And greater invisibility is going to do that for us. We have the regular invisibility that's going to be mostly non-combat utility, so we don't need the lower level invisibility spell. But when we need invisibility in combat, this is the spell, and it is an end-all, be-all spell. It is fantastic. Next option, I really love Sickening Radiance. It's radiant damage. It's a con save, starts playing with exhaustion. 4d10 radiant. Definitely very, very interesting. And I love the feel of this with the Fey. They get glimpses of the northern lights or something, and it deals them radiant damage. Very cool. Very flavorful. Now we have... we do have some good third ones, so we're going to come back to thirds. Second levels. Now I think we might drop Suggestion, but Suggestion's powerful, so maybe we don't. We can throw a 3rd, 4th level on here. Banishment's very strong, but it's a save or suck. It's really bad until we have a 5th level spell slot, because then at least we get 2 targets. This is definitely one of those spells that we sort of trade into at 5th, once we hit 5th level spells. So level 9, I would pick up Banishment potentially, and retrain one of my other spells into a 5th level. Blight's powerful. Shadow of Moils, very interesting. Summon, Aberration, or Greater Demon. Not really what we want to be going for. Dimension Door is a great utility spell here, and I think I'm actually going to go with Dimension Door. We could also, if we so choose, charm a creature, a wisdom save, lasts for 1 hour, no concentration. We could drop Suggestion and go with Charm Monster here, and be different. Let's try that. Let's drop Suggestion and go with Charm Monster. So that is 4 4th level spells: Dimension Door, Charm Master, Greater Invisibility, and Sickening Radiance. We have 2 very, very good combat spells, 1 fantastic utility, we need the hell out of here style spell, and a Charm Monster, which is going to be good in lots of different situations. And that, keep in mind, that's not just monsters, that's anything. It says a creature. Phantasmal Force, lots of fantastic utility, but also in the right situations, it is amazing. 3rd level, we have 3 spells that we can play around with here. We definitely want to pick up Fear. It's on theme, it's a powerful spell in the right situation. Other very powerful spells, even when scaled up. Spirit Shroud would be good if we went Pact of the Blade, but we did not. Thunderstep, let's untick 4th. Insight Greed could be very interesting, but I don't think we want to go with that direction. Summon Fey. We get a little Fey Spirit. Could be the right feel. Tongues, Vampiric Touch. Summon Undead. Summon spells are always like... I'm always worried about them, you know? Because of what happens when you lose concentration. But it seems like these new summon spells don't, like the Summon Elemental. These new summon spells, the creature basically disappears when the spell ends, which is when you lose concentration. Magic Circle, I wouldn't worry about it. Gaseous Form. Transform a rolling creature and everything it's carrying. Move when flying 10 feet. Pass through small holes, narrow openings, and even mirror cracks through, though it treats liquids as though they were solid surfaces. Can't fall. This could be very interesting to combine with our Ghostly Gaze ability. So we can see through the wall. We look around for a crack. Then we use our Gaseous Form and flow through. We can't trigger our Ghostly Gaze again, and we lose our Ghostly Gaze as soon as we pop our Gaseous Form. But it could be interesting to go in that direction. Dispel Magic or Counterspell, they're solid pickups. It's not something I would worry about. I think Enemies Abound is actually very interesting as well. The drawback is we don't get a higher level benefit for our 4th level spell slots on it, and it only targets a single creature. I wish it was for every level spell of 5th or level, every 2 spell slot levels, we get an additional target. So we could, at the theory, use our 5th level slot and hit 2 of them, but no such luck. Major Image. I think we're going to go with Major Image as one of our thirds. Major Image is so powerful. We're playing with this illusionary side of Fey, so it's going to be a strong pick here. We get one more. And we're going to actually drop back down to 1st level. Now that we have 4th level slots, let's take a look at everything that's not a cantrip. We do not have any more cantrips at this point. Protection, Sleeps outlived its usefulness. Unseen Servant could be powerful, but we're not a ritual caster innately. Mirror Image is good combat, but we have combat covered. Truthfully, between Fear, Greater Invisibility, and Sickening Radiance, we do not need another combat spell. We want something that's good in the right situations and is incredibly powerful because of it. Does this Fey creature have a flying speed? Does not. Fey Step. Remove Curse. Plant Growth was added to our list. Intellectual Fortress, no. Fly is one of those spells that's just sort of, in the right situation, it's really, really powerful, and there's nothing that compares to it. So we're going to go with Fly. Not because of its combat utilities, but because of its out-of-combat utilities. Enemy way up there, or top of the wall, it's okay, I'll cast Fly. No big deal. And that's really the strength of Warlocks. You get to pick these spells that, they're good spells in general, but when they're the right spell for the job, they are amazingly powerful. It's insanely powerful. And that's not something that every class gets to do, and it's really cool when we do get to do it. Finally, our 8th level ability score improvement. Let's actually adjust this a little bit. We can... I have a better idea than taking the double. We're going to go with Fey Touched Charisma. And our 8th level is going to be Shadow Touched Charisma. This is going to put our Charisma to 18 because we're getting to our Charisma. But it's actually giving us a Misty Step spell once for free, and then we can spend our spell slots on it. Shadow Touch is going to give us our Darkness spell once for free. Invisibility spell once for free. And then... another spell once for free, and we could spend our spell slots on either of them. Same for Fey Touch. So it's actually going to give us 4 more spells per day, as opposed to just trying to pick up something like Magic Initiate. I'm not really worried about our concentration on things, so this is going to really buff up our crazy utility. Off the top of my head, so we get a Divination or Enchantment thing. We do have innately Detect Magic. We always have it. I personally really like here Gift of Alacrity or Bless. I'm actually going to go with Bless here because the Fae bless and they give and they take away, and it's a bargain. Say, oh, you've been nice to me. Here, have a bless. And additionally, when we spend our higher level spell slots, if we really need that bless, that scales really, really powerfully. And our Misty Step doesn't scale, so we're not too worried about it. And then our 8th level, we get invisibility once. So nice that we can move around if we're invisible. But we're also getting a spell of necromancy or illusion that we get once. And at this point, if we want to, we can pick up inflict wounds, which is a fantastic combat spell. We really can pack the damage in with it, but it's the cost of one of our 2 spell slots the second time that we do it, so maybe it's not the best pick here. I think, top of my head, I really like False Life, because if we take a look at the False Life spell, when you use a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, you gain an additional 5 temporary hit points for each level above 1st. It lasts for an hour, but this is basically an extra hit dice for us. So it's going to be 1d4 plus 4. So minimum 5, maximum 8 when we cast it as a freebie. So when we're going into combat, we just drop a False Life on ourselves, we're good. But if we've just finished our short rest, we can spend our spell slot, if we really want to, at 4th level and drop 20 temporary hit points onto us. This basically replaces Armor of Agathis, if we so choose. Other good options at this level, Disguise Self could be very, very strong. That really could really play up the aspect of you have super high persuasion and deception. So Disguise Self could be very strong. It's also non-concentration, so you can use Charm Monster or Friends or something in conjunction with Disguise Self. That could be very interesting too. You disguise yourself as the sheriff in town, and then go around using friends on people, so people start acting hostile towards the sheriff, and you run away when an angry mob starts forming, and then you drop Disguise Self, and you're just you as the warlock, just chilling in somewhere, and they keep hunting the sheriff. So you can make an enemy in town that way. That's actually, now that I think about it, it sounds like a lot of fun. Alright, and then we have our Misty Escape. That's our free invisibility and teleport. We really have a lot of invisibility options. The only thing that I think I'm going to change a little bit about our spell list is because we get the Misty Step as our teleport, I'm going to drop Dimension Door, and I'm going to throw in, let's go with a 3rd level. Blink, no. I think I'm actually going to throw Counterspell in here. There's very few classes that can counterspell. Wizards, sorcerers, and warlocks, and bards if they spend magical secrets. And that is only lore bards at 6th level. The rest of them have to wait till 10. So it's one of those situations of, and I think it's counterspell or dispel magic here. I think both of them have valid uses. Hypnotic Pattern could be a very good combat spell as well. Maybe it's Dispel Magic here. The issue is that Dispel Magic exists on all 3 of those all 4 of those classes: Warlock, Wizard, Sorcerer, and Bard. But it also exists in Cleric and Druid spell lists. It's such a common spell. They don't need Dispel Magic. That can be the Druid's job to prepare, or the Cleric's job to prepare. You don't need that. You don't need to spend one of your picks on that. Remove Curse is one of those things that's very powerful and to have when needed, but once again, it exists on the other spell lists, or it exists commonly on other spell lists. Thunder Step could be very cool. Let's go with Tongues here. The reason I'm throwing Tongues on is creature you touch gain the ability to understand any spoken language it hears. When the target speaks, any creature that knows at least one language can hear the target and understand what it says. I'm picking this because in the situation when it matters a lot. Because comprehend languages only works one way. Tongues does everything. You know what they're saying and they know what you're saying, and that gives you the ability to use those charming abilities, that charming party face style character. You have all of that utility option in there. So let's take a look at our overall Warlock at 8th level. Equipment, I do not believe we are proficient in basically, we have a light armor, so we do get studded leather. Non-magical. Basically carrying no weapons. We don't need weapons. We have Vicious Mockery. And let's take a look at our Warlock. Not an attack. Spells. I don't know why Vicious Mockery does not display as attack. There we go. Alright, so we have Vicious Mockery. That's going to be our go-to cantrip. Over Eldritch Blast, we didn't take the invocations for Eldritch Blast because we're not playing a damage output Warlock. We are playing that crazy, persuasive, deceptive thing. Talk to your DM. Maybe if you're not planning on taking Eldritch Blast, pick up Chill Touch, Ray of Frost. Especially for Pact of the Tome, you could drop something like Prestidigitation or Guidance and go with one of those cold damage and cantrips instead. I really leaned heavily into the charming side of this and not the cold damage side of it because we're playing in a cold environment. We're not going to be dealing cold damage to creatures that are innately in a sub-zero freezing environment. And that's sub-Fahrenheit 0, not Celsius 0. I think that's sub-20 Celsius. This environment is very, very cold. That's not a spoiler of any sort. It is what it is. So we don't want to be dealing cold damage to creatures that live comfortably in this environment all of the time. Now, against regular people, probably doesn't matter. Probably going to be great. But against other things, it's probably not going to be that effective, just being honest. That's why we pick up Vicious Mockery here. We're playing this charming, beguiling style character leaning into this cold, unfeeling, cold, emotional Fey. They don't care what someone thinks of them. They see people and the interactions they have as tools towards their own end goals. It's cold and calculating. You're not worried about what everyone else is thinking. You're worried about yourself and getting there. One thing I realized I forgot as I looked at that is background and configure, and we're gonna go with wrong thing. 2 skills, two tools could be good here. I'm gonna go with languages. Languages you can pick on your own, and we're gonna go through the hermit background. Hermit. There we go. Skill proficiencies. Top of my head, we'll go with Insight. It's know when people are lying to us. And we'll go with... We'll throw Stealth in here. No, let's not throw Stealth. Let's throw History in. History's going to be fun. There we go. I was going to say, we need 2 more skill proficiencies. There we go. 6 skill proficiencies, or 7 across the board. Pretty solid. Decent stat lines. 18 charisma as of 8th level. Probably cap out at 20 and at 18th, and our charisma will cap out at 20 because I would spend if we hit 12th level in the campaign, I would spend the last ability score improvement on charisma at that point to ensure that our spell save DC is higher, or at as high as we can get it at that point. Common and Giant for our starting languages, +2 for our background. At that point, I would throw in probably Sylvan and Dwarvish, or Sylvan and Elven would be my top choices. Maybe Goblin. Goblin could be interesting. Maybe because it is background. Or maybe the languages for the human, you pick Common and Sylvan, and background is Goblin and Giant. You had a life before you took your deal with the Archfey, so it could be interesting. Very fun to play. Definitely leaning into that beguiling side of it. We didn't really pick up cold damaging spells because there's not that many of them, especially on the Warlock list, and they're probably not going to do as much as we really want to be able to be doing. Cold damage isn't that impressive, but the charming and illusion side of the Fae is something that we can lean into, and cold can be a character aspect, not a type of damage. Cold, calculating, unfeeling, terse, succinct. And these are all things that could describe a roleplay style for this character, and I think it would be a lot of fun to play. Vicious Mockery, great spells. Let's see. Level scale spells. We got Charm Monster at 4th level, Distort Value as a 4th level spell, 4 feet by 4 feet. That's a massive area for that spell. Fear as 4th level. We get to target, I believe, 2 creatures with Fear. Oh no, it's a cone. There's no benefit for higher level, but it's Fear. We wanted to pick Fear. Fly. So we get 2 targets for it. Greater Invisibility. That's going on ourselves. Major Image. We do not get the eventual 6th level powerful version of Major Image with non-concentration, but it's a strong spell the same. Phantasmal Force, amazing illusion utility spell, much better than Silent Image as well. Sickening Radiance, very powerful combat spell, good damage. Cast that, close the door, hold it as hard as you possibly can. Maybe get the Barbarian to hold it. And then Tongues, very, very powerful communication spell. We need those people to be able to hear us and know what we're saying, so that way we can tell them our lies. So, strong overall. And we picked Tough as our human variant feat. So, overall, I feel pretty powerful here. Great hit points. Very cool invocations, things that we don't have to remember all the time, too. We can tell the DM that typically while traveling, every 10 minutes we'll cast Detect Magic on ourselves. So that way we can basically always be traveling with it up. In addition to something like Light, we keep Light going and Detect Magic all times unless we say otherwise. And pretty standard at that point. And then we just usually have to remind the DM of something like that. Features and traits, class features. And then our other thing is we have the one with shadows. We can become invisible. Ghostly Gaze, once per rest, we just get to say, you know what? Our magic vision's good, but how about I look through that wall and find out what's going on the other side of that area? Do you have an ambush waiting for us in there? And I think that's a fantastic thing. That ability to see through solid objects, very, very cool. If I had to swap out one of the Eldritch Invocations, I would drop the one with shadows, because we do have some invisibility options, and pick up the Devil's Sight and rename it or something if you care that much. So that way we have 3 sight/gaze things, and the Ghostly Gaze benefits from that, the dark vision, including through magical darkness as well. And that would be my final setup. That would be the only change I would make on the invocations, if I didn't like the one with shadows so much. So that's the build. Shadow Dragon. It was 1011, not 1101, so slightly off. But I will DM you a link to this public character sheet. If you like it, feel free to copy it down or print off a copy of it. I'm not going to leave it in my inventory forever, but I hope if you like the character, you give me an upvote. Or don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my content to anyone you think might enjoy it. If you're just a viewer here on the channel and you liked what I did, same thing. Like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. I really appreciate it, and I love to read any comments that you do have about it. This was a fun Fey character to build. I'm usually not a personal fan of Warlocks because I love having lots of spell slots to play with, but I love the utility that a Warlock can bring to a game or an adventuring group. I will see you all in the next one.